So ABA is a scientific study of changing behaviors, and specifically as the way it relates to early intervention, which is the field that I've been primarily exposed to. It is dealing with challenging behaviors of kids in New York. Primarily, it would be children with autism. And for instance, let's say I'm going an assessment, I'm doing an evaluation, and I find out that there are some symptoms that a child is experiencing. And if you'd like for me to go into that, I could definitely go through some of the symptoms. Okay. The some of the things a child may be having and demonstrating would be, for instance, a difficulty with communication, not being able to express themselves, not being able to relate to other people, not being able to have the eye contact that they need in order to speak with a human being or relate to anyone, a peer, a mom, anyone. Not being able to respond as you call them, and kind of literally being in their own bubble, so to speak, in their own world, and difficulty connecting with others. Those are primary. There are a lot of other symptoms, such as, for instance, a lot of repetitive behavior. Some kids go into a pattern of repetitive behaviors dealing with their hands, going like this, or others would be making circles. Other kids might be running around, screaming, vocalizing something. So each child has their own repetitive patterns that they would be developing. And some of them could have aggressive behaviors, maladaptive behaviors. And the reason they would come in early on is if the child is not able to express themselves fully in the beginning. So let's say you're a child of 2 years old, and I just did an assessment and I see some symptoms that scream to me autism. Even I would not be allowed to diagnose. So at that point, I would refer to a neurologist, a psychologist, a pediatrician. And at that point, when the specialist would come in, they would give a child a diagnosis. From my experience, I've been right on ballpark with finding out what the symptoms are as early as 15 months of age, which has been really, really amazing in turning those kids around early on. Because the sooner you hit them with ABA therapy, the sooner you'll see the results. ABA therapy is such a systematic way of teaching that I'll go further into it down the line, but it is an amazing way to specifically teach and treat kids with autism, and have been really, really effective in my experience.
Jennifer, we have a question.
Go ahead.
From one of our fathers. Is hitting themselves one of the behaviors that you would work on?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And what would be the age of the child?
I believe he is around 3 or 4.
Is the child verbal or nonverbal?
I believe non to limited verbal skills.
So that has been really the, unfortunately, bread and butter of what I've been in the field of as far as ABA goes. And that is why I actually got into ABA further down the line. From going from special educator, I saw such a need for this area, and I wanted to advocate for the kids early on, because I was able to see them struggling with the behaviors early on when they don't have that language to be able to express their needs and be heard and be able to not only get what they need, but also survive in this world. Like, they need to have some form of communication, whether it be through PECS, using the cards, communication exchange, pictures, or using sign language. A lot of them are at that level. And my passion has been in teaching language specifically, which is a verbal behavior of ABA. It's a specific, really targeted with language. So for that child, I would say the most important way to diminish that behavior, it would be to improve that language. I don't know if they've had...
I got more information on the little boy. He is soon to be 5 and nonverbal.
Okay, has the child received ABA in the past?
I do not believe that they've received ABA. They were waiting for tonight's show to get answers to see if it would be a fit for their child.
Okay, where's the child located, state?
The child is located somewhere towards Washington.
Age of
Jason,
5,
correct me
right?
if I'm wrong. Yes, age 5. Because he's been guessing what Junior wants, and it's hard.
Just shoot it. Do you want to text me?
He is starting sign language.
Starting sign language, I would say, is the most important. Is the child receptively able to understand sign language or picture exchange?
So, not yet.
Not yet.
Jason, my best advice, and Jennifer, I think you would agree, and they're in Washington. Maybe Jason or Jennifer, you do the consultations.
Yes, I was going to just say that. So okay. Because my passion has been in verbal behavior, we were able to create a company with a speech therapist, Jelena Volansky, and the company's Talker Academy, where we do consultations. We provide online therapy. We're creating a course right now to be placed online. So meanwhile, we could offer 3 consultation.
So, Jason, my suggestion is after the show, you message me or something, and we will set you up with Jennifer and possibly Jelena as well, because it is a speech and a behavior. I think.
And what I could also suggest is if they have an insurance, I could see if there is a way for them to get their services in their state.
Okay, so Jason, please contact us after the show and we will work with you, because I see that he rips up all of his picture cards. So I think, Jason, you really need to sit down with Jennifer and look at the whys and the wheres.
Absolutely. Jason, I'll be more than happy to address your concerns. Please reach out to us at talkeracademy@gmail.com.
Perfect. So Jason, please get back to us. Now, let's get back to our questions. Let me remember what my next question for you is. It has to do with a lot of people, especially adults with autism, tend to say that ABA has a negative tone to it. But we both know ABA has changed a lot in the last 20 years. And it is not what people say, where they say they get punished for negative behaviors. Why don't you explain how it's not punishing the child, but reinforcing with positivity?
The field has changed tremendously since inception, and where it started off as maybe a little bit in a negative connotation because people didn't even know at that point how to deal with those behaviors. And as it probably started with punishment, and that's what a normal parent would do in a situation. So it has evolved tremendously, and right now the field is extremely positive and very much oriented on dealing with any behavior and finding the right motivations through preference assessments for that specific adult, child, whoever that is, to find out what motivates the person. Before you actually start the treatment, you need to know the basics. You need to know what is the significant behavior to that individual. What behaviors are you looking to change? And you go through like a whole task analysis trying to analyze which behaviors you're able to change, and you break them down into small manageable steps, and you take one step at a time and you deal with that step before you move on to the next layer.
And you do use lots of praise, do you not?
Praise is the most significant part of ABA treatment. You constantly praise the child, and you praise the child in the most positive and specific way. So if the child is washing their hands and you would like that behavior to continue, you have to say, "Great job washing your hands." And if the child is accidentally looking at you because they're just learning to look and they don't know how to yet, you would say, "Great job looking at me," or "paying attention to me." So as specific as you want to get within your praise, So they're able to hear that and able to give you what you want next time as well.
So let me go through. I just want to say, Riley, mommy loves you.
I
Um,
love how you say that every time.
well, she comments on every show. She watches every show. I didn't think an 8-year-old would enjoy watching my show, but apparently they do.
Well, then, if you're saying that, I have to share my 1 second story. Today, I was so busy with everything that I wanted to share that I